Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I am crafting with this really fun die set from Kokorosa. It's I think it's called a capsule machine, but it basically reminds me of a gumball machine. And there are several different dies that help you to create this rather large, it's a very nice size. It will still fit on a USA 2 size card base, but you're not going to have that much room besides the gumball machine. So today I decided instead to create a 5x7 card so that I can use some really pretty pattern paper surrounding the machine. This, one of the dies will cut out this piece, and I'm layering up 3 heavyweight 120-pound heavyweight cardstock to create this, which is basically going to be kind of the inside of my gumball machine. And you can see the mechanism that's in place there. There's a gap at the top. There's below the circle, there's this sort of channel. And the reason for all of that is that this die set will actually create kind of a working gumball machine so that you can actually place items inside. You can turn a knob, so to speak, and it will actually release one of those die cuts into that channel and out through the hole at the front here. And this is the front piece that I'm working on. It's rather ingenious. Today, though, I'm not going to create the full gumball machine effect. The top portion will just be a shaker, but the bottom, what I thought might be fun instead is instead of using the lever or the dial where you would kind of release the gumball, I'm going to have that be a fun little mechanism for actually changing a little smiley face that I'll add to the center of that aperture, that circle aperture that you see. And here I'm thinking, now that piece there, the long piece was really what you're supposed to attach, but I thought that it would actually be hard to grab onto and spin that dial, and that's what I want to have happen. So instead what I did was just die cut a couple more circles, and I folded both of them in half, glued half of the circle to each other, and then glued the remaining halves to the base. And that gives me something that you can really grab onto. And here is the underside of that mechanism. There's that circular piece that had several slits cut into it, and it just basically allows you to create almost like a brad, but out of paper. And so that's what's making this entire mechanism possible. And on this arm here, that would normally be the lever that either closes off the contents that are on the inside the gumball machine, or opens up that pathway so that something from the gumball machine can fall down into the channel and you can actually remove it through this aperture here. But since I'm not using it that way, what I'm trying to do is fit another piece of cardstock onto that arm, and that's where I'm going to stamp some different smiley faces so that as you turn the lever, you'll actually see different faces show up. And I also added just a little bit of acetate behind that aperture in order to just make it look a little bit more glossy and finished. And here I'm going to put another piece of acetate. I know you probably can't see it on camera, but that piece of acetate is there so that these extra little differences in layers of cardstock won't actually create a catch point as that lever is getting dialed, back and forth, because anything that has an extra layer of cardstock has the potential to kind of prevent this piece here from sliding back and forth smoothly. So that extra little bit of acetate is just going to help smooth everything out, make it all one layer, and that way all of this will turn or rotate more smoothly. And here I'm just figuring out how best to cut down a piece of cardstock so that I can really maximize the amount of space that I have to stamp with. And ultimately, in the end, what I did was I just die cut, took a circle die out of my stash, and I just die cut a circle and then trimmed that circle down to size, because it's already got that sort of rounded shape. And here I have another piece of that inside gumball machine, and oh no, this is the top layer, sorry. And I'm just reassembling the mechanism so that I can use this as a template. And the reason why I wasn't able to use my original one as a template anymore was because I already put the piece of plastic on through the circle piece here. And it's important to have that circle piece so that we can actually draw through it. So here you can see I just cut out a circle that's going to still be completely hidden, but then I can just really maximize it and then turn the dial so that I can trace out a line and make sure that I can still see both circles. And there's a little bit of one circle that's still going to be visible when you turn it to the opposite circle, but that's okay. So long as you don't stamp anything that's specific to, one or the other, then it should be fine because it'll just be white space. So there you can see that I've stamped out my 2 smiley faces, and I'm just going to let that dry because I stamped it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and being a pigment ink, it does take a little bit of time to dry. I don't want to accidentally touch it and smudge it. And because I'm not using the gumball mechanism as a gumball machine per se, I want to close off these openings, because if I don't close them off, my shaker bits are going to escape. Escaping into this smaller channel here isn't that big of a deal because it's still confined. It's just going to be a waste because it's going to settle down in there, and I'll have to fill the shaker well a lot more in order to ensure that there's always some shaker bits showing. So that's why I want to close this off so that it just doesn't get needlessly full of shaker bits. The top portion, that opening is very critical to close off because it will allow shaker bits to fall completely out of your gumball machine. And had I thought of this earlier, I would have added this little bit of foam first before I put down my acetate, and that's why you see me struggling here, because I have to slide my acetate in between I have to slide my foam in between the acetate and the cardstock there, and it's pretty well stuck down. So that's why it was a bit of a struggle, but I managed to get that in there. So now that my stamped smiley faces are nice and dry, I am just going to do some soft inking. So I have yellow and red so prominent here, so I'm going to erase my pencil lines of the circles and then just do a soft inking around them just so that it's something else that's a little bit different as you rotate that arm. Okay, so then now that I have that piece nice and figured out, I can then attach it to my real gumball piece here. So I'm just making sure to clean off my acetate as well as I can, because while everything is detached and nice and flat, you can clean it and apply whatever pressure you need to actually work out any adhesive that is still stuck to the acetate. And so I'm testing things out, making sure that I have this panel placed where I want, and then I'm gonna mark where that arm needs to get attached. So anytime I make interactive cards, I do like to always use a little bit of low tack tape to really trail run everything and make sure that it works the way I expect and that everything is, lined up. And with the low tack tape, you can always kind of pull that up and reposition it if you need to. But because I like to use liquid adhesive when I go to glue everything down permanently, that is a very strong hold. And so if you let that liquid adhesive dry, it's going to be a permanent permanently fixed to your project, and so you'll likely lose some cardstock if you have to pull that up. So now that everything is figured out, I'm going to fill my Gumball machine with a couple of different shaker bits. So I wanted some of that blue that's in the background paper to come forward. So I added both a sort of like a clear AB sequins or confetti, and one that's has some more of that kind of bluish purple hint to it. And once I have my glue, I had to be careful to only put glue where it's not going to inhibit the movement of that panel where we've stamped our images. And so that was definitely one thing where I had to be a little bit more cognizant of. And so you saw me kind of wipe away some of that glue. And so here's the final look. So you can turn the dial back and forth and change the face on here. So I would definitely recommend for the mechanism to use heavyweight cardstock on that dial piece, just to really make sure that you can grab a hold of it and it's nice and firm. Thanks so much for watching my video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.